Hello, and welcome to our blog post writing training session hosted by Amber Maechler, Content Matterz Director of Strategy. My name is Chloe Nichols. I'm Content Matterz Director of Agency Operations, and I'm your host for today's presentation. A successful writer and marketer, Amber has spent much of her career crafting blog topics into compelling narratives that resonate with target audiences across many different industries, products, and services. Today, she is going to walk through the intricacies of blog post creation, covering everything from planning and research, brainstorming topic ideas, writing, and optimizing for search engine visibility. No matter where you fall on the spectrum of writing experience, there's something here for everyone. This training will provide you with step-by-step guide to crafting engaging content that captivates your readers from the very first sentence. You'll know how to structure your posts for maximum impact and infuse your writing with personality and authenticity. Amber will give you the tools and techniques you need to ensure your blog posts not only resonate with your audience, but also rank high in search engine results. After her presentation, you'll walk away with the ability to shape your brand's narrative, establish your authority in your industry, and drive meaningful engagement with your audience. Thank you again for joining us. Let's get started.
Great, thanks, Chloe. That was a great introduction to our training today. I'm just going to quickly go over our agenda because Chloe already mentioned that we'll be talking about planning your blog, research for your blog, formatting your actual posts, some writing tips, and then choosing imagery and optimization for search engine. So let's get started with planning. So when we talk about planning a blog, we want to think about the structure first, because if we start with the correct structure, it will be much easier for search engines to rank our posts, see our posts, and we'll have a better chance at capturing those key audience members that we're looking to capture from search. So the latest and greatest way to kind of structure a blog so that it is search engine friendly is the topic cluster method. And in the past, you would kind of just write your blog posts and pick categories, pick topics. They would all kind of live in this world called the blog. But what you're going to want to do now is actually structure your blog in a topic cluster. And a topic cluster looks like the example here on the right. It consists of a pillar page or post that is a long format post that kind of encapsulates a lot of information about a broader topic. And then that post is linked to cluster posts, which are your typical shorter blog posts that drill down on more detail in each of the categories of information that could relate to that topic. So if you see on the right here, we have our pillar post or page is Disney World planning. That would be a very long post that would talk about planning a trip to Disney World. And then you might break that down into smaller posts of Disney World restaurants, budgeting for Disney World, all of the things you could think of that someone who wants to plan a trip to Disney World would want maybe a deeper dive into. And the most important part about this is the hyperlinking here. You see that these cluster posts are all hyperlinked into the pillar page and back. They are not hyperlinked to each other. And that is so that we can drive traffic to that original post, and it will kind of build on itself and become a source of authority on the topic in the eyes of the search engines. So topic clusters are a great way to kind of think about your topics before you start writing and think about how you're going to plan what you're going to write about. So to kind of start getting a topic cluster going, you're going to want to brainstorm 3 to 5 broad topics that are relevant to your brand and your audience. I suggest checking out your competition and seeing what they're doing. Doesn't mean you need to do what they're doing, but it's good to know. It's always good to know what your competition is writing about. And then when you plan these topics, make sure you consider your audience's level of education and experience, and also what problems they might be facing. So you don't want to write an intro to topic for a well-educated audience. It will be something they would never click on. So be aware that if your audience has a higher level of education or expertise in the particular topic you're talking about, you will want to give your topic the same level of expertise in its title. And maybe instead of being intro to Disney World planning, it would be how to do Disney like you've never done it before. Something that kind of conveys the idea that you've done this before, but we have something new in mind for you. So those are some things to consider as you're planning your topic clusters. And to give you a little bit better view of what this looks like from a top-down view on your blog, on the left here we have kind of the old way of how blogs have been posted traditionally, where you would have a domain name, sometimes a subdomain below that, that is your blog. You would have categories, and then you would just have all these posts that lived in the blog, right? They might be linked to each other. They might be linked to your site. It was kind of just a mishmash that maybe was a little bit organized by category. On the right, this is like the kind of modern way to build a blog so that you're actually using it to drive that traffic, become a topic expert. As you can see, it's organized directly under the domain. You've got your pillar pages in the middle, and you have your posts around the outside, all linking in to support that pillar page. So you can become a subject matter expert on that topic. So this is why planning is important before you start brainstorming topics, before you start writing. Think about your topics in terms of these buckets or these pillars, and maybe identify 3 to 5 to start with and start building out the content around those. So as you go into your blog, if it's a new blog, you can set it up this way from the start. If you have a blog that already looks like the old style, you can do it little by little. You don't have to overhaul it all at once. You certainly can, but think about it as you move forward, maybe reorganizing some of the posts you have and creating a pillar page that they can all connect to. That's a really great way to just set yourself up for SEO success with your blog from the very beginning. So that's just a little bit of planning on blog structure. And now we're going to get into research. So research is really important if you are aiming to capture the right audience for your blog posts. A good blog topic should do a few things really well. You want to make sure that your topics solve a problem or answer a question for your target audience, and that they compete well with other content in the space. So the way that we like to do this, and it's fairly easy, it just takes a little bit of time, is when you're coming up with an idea that you want to write about, put some questions in your Google search bar that someone might ask if they were interested in that idea, or trying to find answers about something related to that topic, and just see what comes up. And what you'll find is that you'll get, usually at the top of the page, you'll get some sort of AI generated explanation that has come from a mishmash of articles. And then you'll get these people also ask questions down below. And those are great ways to see kind of what people are actually asking in these search engines. And then if you can make your topic answer one of those questions well, and if you read some of those articles and you figure out how you can compete with that content, then you're doing a fairly good job of creating content that has a chance of ranking for that topic. You also want to make sure that the actual title of your blog answers a question. So think through your titles really carefully. Google ranks a lot of content based on how many people have searched for something that article would answer. So this is where the research comes in. Read what your competitors are doing, see what kind of content is ranking under each of these. See if you can do something similar or better than someone else, or if it's a really, really common search term, it may be something that you want to kind of try to refine more and get your search term a little more tight so that you have a better chance of ranking. We will talk about that next. So in terms of trying to find those keywords that you want to rank for, what you want to be looking for are long tail keywords. And long tail keywords refer to the area of this graph that is the bright purple there on the right. This graph kind of shows its monthly search volume on the vertical axis, and then number of keywords on the horizontal. And if you look at the short tail keywords, those are things like single word keywords like Facebook, iPad, and jobs. They have a lot of monthly search volume. So you might think, oh, I want to go after those. A lot of people are looking for that term. But that's not necessarily true, because you're going to get lost in that noise of everyone that has ever talked about Facebook on the internet is in that bucket, right? You also don't know what those people want. Are they actually your customers, or are they just looking for a new iPad? And maybe you sell a specific iPad case. You don't necessarily want to try to rank for things that are too generic. So as you get down toward the long tail, you're getting to more specific keywords. They're longer. They qualify your audience better. They have less searches, but they're easier to convert. So for instance, the short tail keyword might be iPad. A long tail keyword would be magnetic iPad Pro 2.9 case. Far fewer searches, but if you're selling that specific case, you know that the people searching for it are going to find you if you're ranking for that keyword. So that's where you want to kind of try to target your keywords that you're going to be using in your blogs and your topics in that long tail area. And the way to find those, there are some different ways. There's some tools you can use. A few that we like are Google Keyword Planner. SEMrush is a great tool for this, and also Keywords Everywhere. They all vary in price and usefulness, but they can really help you research keywords, see who is bidding on them, see how popular they are. You want to find kind of that sweet spot of a keyword that, or a long tail keyword that is getting some traffic, a decent amount, but not overly generic. And also you can also see in those tools like who's bidding on it and how much they're bidding. If it's a really expensive keyword, that usually means that it's really, really popular and it's going to be harder to win. So there's a lot more that goes into keyword research. There are firms that can even just do this research for you and spit you out a report of which long tail keywords you should be using to rank. And I do recommend that if you have the budget for it, because it's a nice just plug and play, get the keywords, and then you can generate your topics based off of that. But there is a lot you can do just on your own to kind of try to identify these and try to stay in that long tail keyword area. So now we're going to talk about formatting. Formatting is extremely important for blogs, for readability, and for also search engine ranking. And one of the things that you want to think about when you're thinking about formatting your blogs is just the type of article you're writing. You can approach the same topic in so many different ways and make it new again. And we've just kind of put together a list here of some of the most popular ways to approach topics. A listicle is extremely effective. The top 5 ways, the top 10 reasons. It's kind of a blend between a list and an article. It's easy to read, easy to skim. A lot of topics really lend themselves well to that. We like interviews. Clients or internal experts make great candidates for interviews. You can also do an expert roundup, and that's a great way to make connections within your industry, invite them to be a guest on your blog. Their how-to guides give DIY advice on how to solve a problem step by step, something simple that someone might be looking for. Think about what people would Google that your product or service relates to, and give them a little DIY advice for free in your blog posts. Checklists, best of lists, mistakes to avoid when. News and trending topics can be effective, FAQs, common myths, industry forecasts, and comparisons. Those are all, that's just a guide to, make sure you mix it up. Don't just write the same articles over and over. Make sure you're mixing up your formatting so that you're catching eyes of different people who like to consume information in different ways. Now, as we get into writing these blogs and pillar pages, we want to make sure we hit a couple kind of metrics when it comes to length. The pillar pages are going to be really long form content. 2,000 to even 10,000 words is ideal, because the more content you can put in there, the more you can kind of position yourselves as an authority on that really long topic, and the more opportunity you have to link in and out to those cluster blog posts. The cluster posts that are around the outside of the circle, those can be more like 500 to 1,000 words. They're not, they're just your typical blog post, and they should be pretty focused on a topic that's just a little chunk of what your pillar page is focused on. So I recommend, writing those pillar pages first, making sure you have that topic completely well fleshed out in there, and then, doing your spin-off blog posts to link in and out of that. You want to include those long tail keywords in all of your posts. So pick a long tail keyword that you're going to use in your blog and use it in the title and throughout the text. It doesn't have to be excessive. Use it 1 or 2 times throughout the text. You don't want to go crazy, but it does need to be in there in order to rank. And then you always want to write a meta description. So when you post your blog, you're going to insert a meta description, which is 100 to 160 characters of unique descriptive text that will be the little blurb that sits below your hyperlink when you rank on Google. And that helps with people understanding what they're going to get out of the article. And search engines also just like that. So they will rank you better if you make sure to include a meta description. So those are some formatting things that you can do to set yourself up for success. Continuing kind of with formatting headers and subheaders, and the way you actually set up your actual article is very important to allowing search engines to be able to skim the article and figure out if it's relevant to what someone is searching for. So you want to make sure that your headers and subheaders are clear and concise. I sometimes like to set up an article with headers and subheaders first, and then go back and fill in the actual writing, because this can help you kind of get the flow of the article. Basically, your reader should be able to get a brief understanding of the whole article just by skimming these headers and subheaders. And it's very important that they are set up in the way that you see on the right here with their proper tags. So when you go to post your blog, if you're doing it or your IT person's doing it, make sure they're using the tags in the correct order. So you only always have one H1, that is your title. You never have more than one on a page. That is how the search engine will know the most important thing on your page and what the title of it is. Below that, you will have in order H2s, H3s, H4s. And these you can have multiple H2s, those are subheadings, multiple H3s, but they do have to be in hierarchical order in order for the search engine to efficiently read your article and figure out where to put it. So make sure that you're setting things up that way when you're actually going to post your blog, and it helps if you keep this in mind when you're writing it on the front end. So our template literally has H1 tags in it. When we write inside an H1 tag or an H12 tag, so we know what's going to go where when it gets posted. Next on the list, you're going to want to add your internal links, which are those links back and forth to the pillar page, and not to each other, not to the posts to each other, but only back into that main post and back out from that main post. And then you're going to want to add external links. External links add authority to your article, and they're important for citing sources. So definitely cite your sources, add research, add external information. It adds to the value of your article and the authenticity of your article. But a couple recommendations there. One is maybe consider keeping external links a little further down in your blog, so you're not automatically linking out to someone else in the first sentence that might send your reader kind of on a wild goose chase away from you. And always have them open in a new window so that you're not now having people navigate away from your actual content. You want to keep them to keep your window open on their screen as well, so they can get back to it easily. So those are some tips for formatting before you start writing. And now we are going to get into the actual writing, which is the fun part that we like at Content Matters. And we really think good writing matters. It's very important that what you write is engaging, interesting, fun, on brand, supported by great imagery. These are the things that really resonate with people and get them to keep coming back and reading your blog and see you as a thought leader. So this part is extremely important as well. If you're going to do all the rest, you got to also make sure that the writing is there to support everything you're doing. So I always say start with a strong outline. You may want to have those H1s and H2s in place. You want to make sure that you have a strong idea in your own head of where the article's going, what kind of subheads you want to have in there, and how you want to tie it up at the end, and what kind of CTA you want. If you start there, it'll keep you on track. It'll keep you on topic. And then just a couple notes about good writing in general. Cutting out unnecessary words is probably the top tip that I give writers, especially new writers. And this is, I'm guilty of it. Everyone's probably guilty of it at some point. Making sentences overly complicated. It not only is bad for search engines, they tend to like shorter, more concise sentences, but humans do too, especially in this day when things are busy. Most people are not reading these blogs for entertainment. They're reading them to get some information quickly and concisely. So I put a couple examples here. A wordy version of this sentence would be balancing the budget by Friday is an impossibility without some kind of extra help. That's a little bit of a mouthful when you could just say balancing the budget by Friday is impossible without extra help. So go back through your writing at the end and just get rid of, if there's 2 words that could be 1 word, make it so. If there's extra adjectives, pop them out of there. This is another place where using formatting strategically can help keep the reader moving. Instead of long lists in a paragraph format, use bullets, italics, numbered lists. Those really help keep the reader moving through your content, especially in a short format blog post. It makes it more readable and easier to skim and more friendly to busy people. And then the other thing that we really like to hammer home is to identify your brand voice and use it with confidence. Now, brand voice is something that we could go down a whole other probably 3 or 4 presentations about. We do entire branding exercises to get a brand voice nailed, but not everyone has that kind of bandwidth, budget, time. So one tip that we think is kind of fun that we like to give our clients is if you have a couple writers on your team and you really want to make sure that you're all writing for the blog, or sometimes you freelance, sometimes you use an agency, and you want to just make sure that everybody kind of has the same feel to your blog. What you can do is do an exercise with your team and kind of see what everyone says. You say, if your brand could speak, which celebrity or famous character would it sound like? And I like to put up pictures of famous characters because characters, celebrities, anyone that looks at this could probably say in a second what any of these people would sound like if they were to say a specific sentence. How they would frame it. Is it honest and friendly? Is it goofy and silly? Is it, strong and thoughtful? What is your brand voice? What does your brand sound like? Is it a person? Personify it. Then you can tell someone, hey, our brand voice is, Matthew McConaughey with a little bit of Buddy the Elf. And they could probably get pretty close, especially a good writer, just based on that information, because we have these kind of like, there's these shared experience of public figures. So you can kind of use this to your advantage. And it's a fun exercise to do with your team too, to decide who your actual brand kind of embodies. All right, moving right along with some more writing tips. These are just a couple tools that we think all writers should kind of have in their back pocket. Grammarly 100% will speed up your proofreading process. Set it up so that it helps you while you write your articles. Definitely everything still needs human eyes. A second set of human eyes on it before it goes live. We always have an internal review process. This does not replace that, but this does speed up those little mistakes so that editor does not have to then make extra edits. So it speeds everything up, and Grammarly will catch a lot of, it'll give you suggestions. It'll give you spelling, a lot of grammar, sometimes structure. But the caveat is that you want to be thoughtful about which suggestions you accept, because if you do have a strong brand voice, you may want to write in a style that is not the most straightforward Grammarly way. So I always say, like, take it all with a grain of salt, read through it, make sure it makes sense for you and your brand before you don't just carte blanche accept everything that an AI tool tells you to do to your copy, or we will all sound like robots, boring robots. So use it thoughtfully, but definitely use it. And then we think, a lot of writers are scared of using ChatGPT or intimidated. We think ChatGPT is such a great tool. We 100% do not think you should ever write your blogs with GTP and put them on your site. Like I said, that makes for some very boring and uninteresting content, and it's also going to get caught by the search engines as kind of repeat content, AI generated content. It's not original content. But GPT, if I could say it right, is awesome for killing writer's block and kind of spurring ideas, brainstorming sessions. You can get in there, you can ask it, put in all different prompts around your topic and see what it comes back with. Ask it about your competitors and see, how does the internet kind of how do the bots view my competition? Put different ideas in there and see what comes up. If you're stuck on something, it's a great way to kind of get your thoughts flowing and take something in a new direction. So, or if you need a quick brainstorm on topic ideas, you can ask it for some suggestions. I still recommend doing your manual due diligence around your research and everything, but it can be a good tool to kind of get moving. All right, heading into imagery. So imagery is very important. There are tons of studies that show that, anything with an image on it is going to be more engaging than just text alone. So you want to always use engaging images on your blog posts, and make sure that you are choosing ones that engage your user, are on brand, and try to make sure everything kind of has a similar look and feel for your site. So they kind of goes along with your brand. We like to use Canva for our blog. We have a graphic design team that is amazing for really high-end graphic design, but when we just need a picture for our blog, Canva is an awesome tool because especially the pro version, you can get some pretty good stock photography in there. You can resize it quickly. You can save templates. Anyone on your team can collaborate. So that's an easy tool for bloggers. Couple other tips about images. You want to right size your images. So they need to be the same dimensions as what they are going to be posted on your site. That helps with SEO as well. Using PNG or JPEG file types is standard. You want to make sure you title your images with descriptive keywords when you post them, and always use alt tags on every image. So that's a little tag that will show up if the image doesn't load. It is also what screen readers will use for vision impaired people. So it's really important that alt tags are disability friendly and they explain what's going on in the image rather than being just keyword stuffed, which is kind of what people would do in the past to try to kind of get more keywords in there. It's okay to use keywords if they're brand relevant words, if they make sense for the image, but you really want to think through the reason for those alt tags is to make websites accessible. It's not necessarily for you to try to rank a little higher. So try to describe what's going on in the picture and add that there. And alt tags are, have to be on everything if you want to make sure you're SEO friendly. And then make sure your images are mobile friendly. So don't put an image on your website that has a really tiny thing in it that when it gets scaled down is going to be completely difficult to read or see. So think about when you put an image on there, think about how it's going to look scaled down, test it in mobile view, make sure that those images are mobile friendly, because most SEO rankings are based more on mobile experience now than they are on desktop experience. So the more mobile friendly you can make your blog, the better. And then we're going to look at a couple examples here. So this is just an example of something we see often. We see, the picture on the left, you want a picture that, your blog's about closing a deal or making an agreement. And you think, okay, well, I'll put that in my little search and I'll find a great picture. And you come up with this handshake and you go, okay, well, handshake, perfect. That means close a deal. That represents close a deal. Put it on the blog. But what I really want you to think about is how people are going to interact with this image when they see it. Look at the picture on the right. You've got faces. Faces are huge. You got to have faces. They have different expressions. There's feeling, there's engagement, there's, it's still portraying a deal, but it's so much more engaging and interesting to look at. And humans by nature are going to want to engage with something that is interesting and engaging rather than like a disembodied hand. So make sure that you're not just going for the literal image that makes sense for what you wrote about. You're going for things that are engaging and make your users want to click. This is another one I see quite often on the left here, some kind of like back of someone's head with a black jacket. This could be anyone. It definitely shows he's confused, but it really doesn't bring the person in, give them any kind of personality. The image on the right, super engaging. This person is interesting and he's confused. And it's the same message, but a much more interesting and engaging image. And then finally, another one that I see quite often are hands on the keyboard, disembodies hands. And the other image you can see, though, it's a warm office. People are working. This person is a real person. We want to make sure we have diversity in our pictures, equity, inclusion, and we represent real people in the workforce. So we're not just showing one shade of who's in the office. We're showing the breadth of humanity. So make sure you're thinking about that as you're choosing your imagery. All right, and we're almost done. We're at optimization already. So we've been optimizing our blog all along, right? With the formatting, the structure, all the things that are going into creating these blogs and making sure that they're SEO friendly, that they're engaging for the users to read. But there's a few other little things you can do to kind of set yourself up for the best possible experience for your users and for the SEO bots that are going to be ranking your content. And this is just one that we like to use. There are other SEO plugins. So if you're on WordPress, this is something you can use. If you're not on WordPress, that's going to be a different story. There's going to be some more manual things that you need to do to achieve these things. But Yoast is an easy plug and play plugin that you can add, and it helps you optimize your posts. So I suggest getting it. It's free. There's a pro version that allows you to do a little more, but the free version will get you the basics that you really need to start with. And what it will do is it will put this little box at the bottom of all of your posts, and it will kind of give you like little smiley faces about how your post is probably going to do or how optimized it is. It actually doesn't, it's not giving you information on how well it will do necessarily, because it's not comparing keywords, but what it's doing is saying, do you have all the boxes checked that you should check to make this as optimized as possible? You'll put in a focus key phrase here. It'll show you what your mobile result and your desktop result are going to look like. You add your meta description. You can change your SEO title. It'll give you a readability score. It'll give you tips in there if your content isn't quite readable enough for what it thinks it should be. It'll tell you how to make it better, shorten sentences, things like that. And it'll give you an orange meh face or a green smiley face based on how well it's doing. And I think it's just a really helpful tool. Sometimes, all you can get to is the orange face because your content really needs to be content first and optimized second, because you can't always perfect it, I guess, for search engine optimization. There sometimes good writing will trump what needs to happen to make this perfect, but it'll give you an idea, and it'll give you a red frowny face if you're really not hitting it. And that's when you want to kind of make sure that you're checking all these boxes. And if you can get most of your posts optimized pretty well through Yoast, then that will help you. So that's just a tool that we like to use. And that's really all I have today. I hope this was helpful, and you got some takeaways, something you didn't know before. So thanks for coming.
Well, thank you, Amber. And thank you everyone for joining us. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at hello@contentmatters.com, and we'll answer those questions for you. Have a great day.